It's whether everybody, it's coming on. I can hear it now. This is Tillamook Today, and this is the Year of Wellness, 2016. And today I have one of my old friends, Neil Lemery, here, and a new friend, Nathan Rogers. And we're going to talk about two important topics: the needs of veterans in Tillamook County and homelessness and the housing crisis that we have in Tillamook County. Welcome to Tillamook Today, Neil and Nathan.
Oh, my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Just for a few moments, who are you guys anyway? My old friend Neil, I've known for a long time.
Well, I've lived around here my whole life. I used to be the Justice of the Peace, and now I'm a volunteer in the community with Master Gardeners, and I volunteer out at the Oregon Youth Authority. And I'm concerned about the community, and Nathan and I are both involved in the Year of Wellness, which is a campaign across a whole bunch of interests to increase our awareness of ways of living healthier and with more purpose and with some education about how we can improve our lives.
Yeah.
Nathan, how about you?
My name is Nathan Rogers. I am a United States Marine Corps veteran. Hoorah, all my devil dogs out there. I am the Tillamook County Rural Veterans Advocate with a company called West Care, the West Care Foundation, which has been around for about 42 years with a focus on clinical mental health. It actually started off serving veterans. And we're on a grant program to research and overcome the barriers to service that veterans in rural counties face. And while I'm focused in Tillamook County, I also work in Clatsop and Lincoln County by invitation for different programs.
Now, Nathan, I think you told me you're an Oregonian in the sense that you were raised in Lebanon. Is that right?
I was born in California and then promptly ended up in Lebanon, Oregon, and I spent all my formative years there. Then we came back home. So
Well, welcome to Tillamook County. It's a great place. Today we're going to be talking about the needs of veterans, but it's also Mental Health Month. And when you think about it, we all want to take care of our brains so we can have minds and really go from childhood to old age with a fully functioning brain. And so mental health is fundamentally important, a real positive need. Some folks have challenges with mental health issues, and probably we all do across our lives. But when it comes to Mental Health Month, we can also think about brains working together, and in a way, that's what we're doing in this Year of Wellness, to pull people together and work in many different areas. I know the Department of Public Health has placed a high priority, and there are about 60 organizations involved. But let's zero in on this problem with the challenges that veterans face here. Now, from something that Neil gave me, is there must be about 2,500 veterans in Tillamook County.
One out of 10 people in this county are veterans, and they are some from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, the various wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And the challenge coming up is that a lot of the military is going to downsize here within the next year, and this country is going to have a million soldiers returning to civilian life within the next year. And how do we deal with that? How do we provide them with jobs, healthcare, housing, and how do we provide treatment to them for post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, sexual assault that they've experienced in the military?
So clearly we're going to have real challenges in years to come. But what's the situation right now for our veterans in Tillamook County? Nathan, you may have, since you work with them so closely.
Yeah, and honestly, Tillamook County is the little county that could. I am so humbled and proud of everybody out there that I have encountered that is on the front lines working with veterans. It is a group of people doing the best they can to serve a large community that is often underserved. It really comes down to knowing your craft and educating your veterans. There's always changes going on when it comes to the VA and legislature and how things are done. Nothing ever stays the same. Nothing ever stays consistent. So we have a great set of veteran service officers right here in the courthouse in Tillamook that are always up to their ears in paperwork and always nose to the grindstone, just trying to get those veterans into their system through the VA and checking eligibility. And Bill Hatton does a wonderful job getting out into the criminal justice system and getting and helping veterans that are going to be coming back into society who may have made a mistake, trying to get them back on track. And my program, West Care, we provide a lot of in-the-moment assistance like gas cards, food cards, connections. We're kind of the hub and the center of a bunch of spokes, sending them out to every resource that we can, writing up care plans, giving them community resource packages, checking in with them, making sure they're doing well. And I'm actually the voice of veterans on the Year of Wellness Mental Health Committee as well. So we're just doing everything we can.
So let's say a veteran needs to get in touch with West Care or with the VA office. Do you think everybody knows about these resources? You might share some phone numbers and give directions on how the veteran can get in touch with the right folks.
Yeah, just about anybody that deals with veterans knows how to find myself, or one of the key components would be you've got the SSVF, Dan Dennis down at CARE, or Bill Hatton and Diane Nicholas at the courthouse. But to find me personally, I am staying at that I'm working out of that wonderful facility out at the Naval Command Center, the Helping Hands Shelter, that is just such an amazing resource already just to come in the building. And my number, which people can reach out to me just about any time, is 503-983-1913. Or you can email me at nathan.rogers, Rogers, at westcare.com. And please reach out to me. I am gathering data. Even if you don't need services, vets, reach out to me. Let's get you on paper so that I can include you in my discussion that goes to the Office of Rural Health and Congress to fight for better resources for rural vets and their families out here. That is our end game. So,
Neil, as a former judge and one who's been looking at Tillamook County and studying it basically all your adult life, and looking at the needs of veterans, what have you seen that are the primary challenges? I think it's very interesting that Nathan's at the homeless shelter, and what are the interconnections between the medical and mental health needs, et cetera, social needs?
We have a high number of homeless people. Last year, there was about 450 people in the county that were homeless. Veterans, and a fourth of those are children. But veterans who are homeless tend to be older than the average population of homeless people. And they have a higher rate of depression, substance abuse. And then they get involved in the criminal justice system because the response of the system here is not to really plug people into veteran services, but to provide some sort of emergency respite rescue care for them, which in our community tends to be the jail.
And is that paid for by the
It's paid
US
for
government?
by you and me because we're taxpayers that pay for the jail.
So it's local money and not
local money. And a lot of these guys could tap into federal veterans disability and health care benefits.
yeah, one thing I would add to that too is
Go ahead.
is having the ability to take someone from the system and making sure that they get that wraparound care on the way out as part of kind of like a community checklist. It does reduce recidivism. We've seen community partners come together and bring people back to stability. So
Let's come right back to that after I share some information from Tillamook Country Smoker, one of our primary businesses here in Tillamook County. Take a bite of history. Tillamook Country Smoker's natural-style jerky is made up the old-fashioned way. Natural hardwood smoked to seal in a special blend of hand-mixed spices. It's 97% fat-free, wow, and 100% pure delicious. Tasty, sliced from solid strips of tender, premium beef. Tillamook Country Smoker is a third-generation family business here in Tillamook County. They have several large smokehouses and many drying rooms packed with row after row of smoked meats, and they ship thousands of pounds throughout the world every day. Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, who knows where. Visit the retail store on Warren Street at Highway 101 in Bay City. They're open 9 to 5, 7 days a week. Stop by and pick up some 2-foot long pepperoni, teriyaki, and beef sticks. They're only $1, $1. And have you tried their summer sausage? It's the real deal, not that greasy tasting stuff those other guys make. Tillamook Country Smoker. If we're going to eat healthy, this is the way to do it. Be sure to visit them online at tcsjerky.com. tcsjerky.com. Tillamook Country Smoker. Now back to veterans and the needs of housing in Tillamook County with Neil Lemery and Nathan Rogers.
And what we're seeing with housing, too, is that the price of rental housing is dramatically going up. Portland is certainly seeing that, but we're seeing that here locally. Rents often are doubling, and it's very difficult for people to find affordable housing, especially if they are working for minimum wage or they're living on a disability check. So in this county, Nathan was telling me the other day, every week 3 families become homeless in this county, which is a dramatic statistic. And so how do we respond to that as a community? It's a drain on a lot of resources because without adequate housing, kids find it difficult to go to school, people find it difficult to eat well, to be living emotionally stable lives. And that's certainly true with veterans, too. And they have a real difficult time once they're homeless to get back into housing. And we don't really have much housing here for people who are becoming homeless. The Helping Hands model actually provides respite housing and connects people to a lot of services, and that's a really good response to the issue.
So what are we going to really do to solve this problem, let's say over the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? What can Tillamook County do to really address the needs of housing and prevent the process of becoming helpless, and particularly relating that to the needs of veterans?
Well,
Some veterans that may have 3, 4 children and just working at a $12 an hour job.
First, we need to talk about it. We need to have a community discussion, and obviously that's why we're here today, is to kickstart that community discussion and have people talk about these issues and solutions.
A lot of it, there's a lot of not in my backyard ideology where people are worried about if you put low-income housing in, it's going to drive their property values down. And a lot of that comes from stigma. And if you don't mind, I have a very quick story I'd like to share that I used to be that person. And I just happened to be going through Tillamook County, or going through Lincoln County, heading to an Oregon Coast Veterans Association meeting, and saw a shopping cart sticking out from behind the Walgreens there, and had a little Army flag and American flag tatted on the back. And I'm a veterans advocate. I said, let me pull around and see if this is a veteran, because it looked like a veteran. And there was a guy asleep on a tarp with a sleeping bag. The weather wasn't terrible. I figured I was going to leave him alone, run and go get him some food, and I'd just sit there and he'd wake up and find something. By the time I got back, he was awake. And I had a chance to engage conversation with this gentleman who had been a captain in the Army during the Gulf War. And he thanked me for the food and told me he had been upper management for a lumber distribution company back east. And the divorce came out of left field. And the divorce was due to his PTSD. It was identified as that. And the children were scared of him. And he just didn't even he said it happened all at once. And he said rather than fight with his wife, he gave up everything to the family, and when he gets paid, he gives it away. And he said because money just leads him into trouble, but he's homeless because everything caved in all at once. And here we had a productive member of society with an education because he was an officer in the military, he served his country, and he's homeless. So everyone has a story. Everyone has a story, and we can't lump everyone into one genre because they're all human beings and everybody got there somehow. So that's one thing I'd like to leave everyone with as far as something to think about.
Well, Nathan, I can certainly see why you're a friend of my friend Neil, because Neil, I know, has a deep interest and respect for every individual, and that's what we want in Tillamook County. And pretty much, I'm personally very delighted to see the caring and thoughtful people that are working so hard on this year of wellness. You mentioned PTSD, and when I think in terms of veterans and their needs in Tillamook County and how that can lead them into trouble with law enforcement and the lack of resources. I know we only have 3 VA hospitals in the state of Oregon, one in Portland, one in Roseburg, and I believe one in Jackson County. What kinds of support do we really need in our rural communities to support veterans?
That's a great question. We have great mental health sources here when they can be accessed. I personally, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I get counseling for my post-traumatic stress with a wonderful counselor here in town, Patricia Blondo, who's helped me work through some real things. The choice program, if you're diagnosed with PTSD through the VA, and your primary care provider can go through Tri-West, and you can, if you're more than 40 miles from your nearest VA facility, get mental health care right here locally. It's a little bit of a process, but you have to go through the process of enrolling, first getting approved by your primary care provider, and then getting referred for care locally. Then you get it approved through Tri-West for the choice program, and then they set you up for so many appointments here locally. So I'm going to be seeing mine for 30 appointments before I have to reevaluate. But there's options like that. There is Ken Rislow, who is the vet center representative for Clatsop and Tillamook County, who is amazing. He has multiple meetings a week right at the transit station where veterans can come in and be part of a focus group. And then, the churches do counseling of some sort. But on an official level, the choice program to get official mental health care counseling is probably your best option.
What's the phone number for that, if anybody?
I don't know it off the top of my head. However, I did reveal my contact information. But if they want to contact me, the Veteran Service Organization, Veteran Service Officer, or SSVF, or there's a wonderful choice representative at County Health named Teresa Camacho. They can even talk to her.
So touch base with the health department with Teresa Camacho, or call Nathan Rogers to sort of triage to the right phone number at 503-983-1913.
Yes, or your VSO or your SSVF, Dan Dennis, and any of us can get you pointed in the right direction for that.
Now, typically does the veteran receive financial assistance to achieve these to meet these needs, or does he or she have to take it out of pocket for their family? How is all this taken care of?
If you're approved through the choice program to get any kind of care, that usually means that the VA has decided to pay for it. So
it's free.
It's free. So if you're a vet, just take action and seek help and call and get in touch. And if your family has problems that you're not addressing, they can also reach out. And I need to take a few moments here to share information about Tillamook Motor Company. We've moved far beyond Model Ts with the Ford Motor Company, and they have a long history in Tillamook County here. Tillamook Motor Company is part of the Ford Focus on Hunger, is joining other Ford dealers throughout the Northwest. This fits right in with our subject, to collect jars of peanut butter, adding to the kid-friendly foods at the Oregon Food Bank. The peanut butter drive runs from May 1 through May 21. It's estimated that nearly 24% of children are unsure of how their next meal will be provided. 24%. And when school is out during the summer months, local food banks carry a larger responsibility to feed kids. Peanut butter is an important protein staple to feed kids during these summer months, but it is difficult to acquire in adequate quantities, and the jam is needed too. To make a donation, bring jars of peanut butter to Tillamook Motor Company, 501 Main Avenue, between the hours of 8 and 6, Monday through Friday, and 9 to 4 on Saturday. Last year's drive collected nearly 30,000 pounds of peanut butter, feeding kids throughout the summer. This drive is part of a 5-state campaign in the Pacific Northwest by 4 dealers to support their community food banks and to make sure no child goes hungry this summer. Donate to help bring the peanut butter to our kids. 24% of children unsure of how their next meal will be provided. That's why we need a year of wellness to address these kinds of issues.
And you know, each of us can do something too. We don't have to be a veterans expert. We don't have to be a care provider professional. Each one of us can reach out to a veteran, and you know, that's a neighbor, that's the guy down the street, that's the person next to you in the grocery line, that's a guy sleeping, you know, with a grocery cart beside a store, and Nathan stopping by and saying, "How you doing?" We can all do that. We can all make those personal connections, and we all can be advocates. We all can help someone get to the doctor, get to the clinic, get to the veterans office.
Sure.
Each of us can do that part, and we all need to take that on and say, "Hey, you're part of my community. I want a better community. I want to make sure that you're getting what you need."
And can I tell a story?
Okay.
My father was a veteran, Alden Robert Becraft, and the VA here in Tillamook County was there to help him. But my mother's brother, Ronald Stout, an artist, came here to Tillamook County because he was to be near family. He was slipping away with Alzheimer's. He lived in his house, and we tried to keep him in there as long as we could. And he was suffering dementia big time and wandering all over Tillamook County and doing very funny things, as was my mother, who also had Alzheimer's. But the VA, including the folks at the VA office and the people at the credit unions, he was going down there and couldn't have any idea about his money and taking money out, all kinds of issues that people with dementia can have. And Tillamook County, including the Sheriff's Department, once he was walking way out to the east of town, and they picked him up, and we were looking all over for him, and here comes Ron in the back of the sheriff. Tillamook County was looking out for its veterans, and I could go on here, but as Neil is saying, reach out, help a veteran, help others that are in need as well.
Yeah.
That's Tillamook County's approach to, I just can't say enough about how fine Tillamook County was in helping my family deal with the situation.
Well, I can definitely comment on that too, because one of the things that we constantly get told here in Tillamook County when someone comes from the outside and comes in and says, we are a very unique and very heartfelt community. I hear it all the time from people that come to serve the community from outside the community. We've got a guy in our chain of command, Donald Lackman, who gets giddy every time he comes here because he just loves it here. And he said if he didn't have a house in Seattle, he would be here. So,
well, I'm biased. I think Oregon is that way. Tillamook County. I was in John Day this past Saturday, and I saw the same kind of care. And if you go to Medford or Jackson County or Phoenix, you will find that Oregonians care about each other. But in Tillamook County, before we close up, let's just talk a little bit more about the housing situation and what each of us can do to help advance thinking about housing and planning and putting health into all of our actions, all of our thinking and voting and caring here in Tillamook County. Neil,
we need to learn more about that. We used to have a number of what they called Section 8 housing, which is subsidized by the federal government, and so people with limited income could afford. They had rent subsidies, and we've seen the market change on that, and landlords are getting away from that. So what do we do about housing? And we as a community need to put that on our agenda. We need to talk about that, and we need to become informed about what do people really need. It's a complicated issue. It's driven a lot by the market, but it is a crisis. And I've been working part time as a judge again, and one of the toughest cases I've had was a kid not going to school because they were living in a car. And it's nice that the school district and everyone else, trying to get this kid into school, but she really needed to stop living in the back of her car. How do we do that? It's a real challenge, but we need to start talking about that as a community.
Talking about that year of wellness and
Yeah, it is wellness. It is wellness.
community wellness. As a public health person, I
It
think
is.
in terms of basic medical care, basic mental health needs, and basic preventive needs, and that the only way that we can move forward is by talking about it and planning together and taking action. And in closing, what 3 points would we like to take away? And then I want to share some birthdays and some other information before we fade away here.
Well, we have a veteran stand down coming up.
Oh, talk about that.
Yeah, that's gonna be August 26th. It's gonna be at the fairgrounds. Everybody, keep your eyes peeled. The one we had last year was extremely successful. We are in development right now, and we hope to see all the veterans and families out there and continue on with the great legacy of service that started last year. And for those who are listening, we're looking for a shipping container. We need to put veteran survival gear in something. So if you've got one to donate, we would love to have it.
So if you have one in your backyard that you want to get rid of, call Nathan Rogers at 503-983-1913. In 1913, Tillamook County was very different. You can remember that number, 503-983-1913. Tillamook Today, and all of us want to say happy birthday to these folks. Eve Josie, Nicole Crossley, Sherry Cecil, Carla Albright, Jenna Hall, and Dale and Eve Josie also are celebrating an anniversary. Happy anniversary, Dale and Eve. And some announcements. Tomorrow, Lisa Greiner will be back with Bruce Rhodes from Tillamook School District. Senior meals are from 11:30 a.m. at St. Mary's by the Sea in Rockaway Beach. That's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, senior meals. Senior meals noon every weekday at Kiowanda Community Center in Pacific City. The cost is $3 for seniors and $6.75 for everyone else. $3 for seniors, $6.75 for everyone else, and I'm sure they'd take additional donations. Today, there's a volunteer weed and prune work party from 11 to 2 at Nacarney City Road in Nehalem. A weed and prune work party. The Nehalem Valley Historical Society is trying to help preserve and beautify the city of Nehalem's historic American Legion Cemetery. Fits right in with what we've been talking about today, working together and thinking in terms of the legacy of our veterans. Also, a family wellness fair at Garibaldi Grade School from 6 to 7 this evening. Once again, a family wellness fair, Garibaldi Grade School, 6 to 7. Saturday, the Master Gardener's annual plant sale is at the fairgrounds in the pavilion on the west side from 9 to 2. Local vendors, including 4-H and FFA, will be at hand. Also, Saturday, stop by the Garibaldi Museum and spend some time with your favorite explorer. It's Captain Gray's birthday. He'll be 261 years old. Birthday cake from 10 to 2. That's a lot of candles. Thank you very much, Neil Lemery, for being with us on Tillamook Today, and Nathan Rogers. To get in touch with Nathan, call 503-983-1913. And
Correct.
thank you very much. Until
All right.
next time, this is Tillamook Today.
Thank you, Jim.
All right.